Today I want to talk to you about how we implement a winning digital marketing strategy with our clients and the 6-step process that we go through whenever we sign up a new client at Copper Bay Digital. The first step is planning. So if you're going to invest in marketing, you're going to invest your time, you're going to potentially invest budget, you need to make sure your plan is really clear, and you make sure that the marketing efforts that you do deliver and give you actual results. Without planning, it's very easy to just jump straight into marketing channels and just get going, because the tools, and understand the tool but not necessarily understand the process. So our planning phase is really important, and it's something we do with every single client whenever we sign them up. First part of planning is to make sure we're really clear on the goals. What is the aim that you're trying to achieve with digital marketing? What is it that you're looking to measure at the end of the month to make sure it's successful? So a very common answer to this is we ultimately want more sales. Great, that's a really clear and clear answer to what that is. But how are we driving those sales? Is it repeat business, new business? Is it particular products you're selling? How are we actually going to generate those sales, or generate the leads to move into sales? So really be clear on exactly what those is, and we work with our clients and make sure you write down the goals that you're trying to achieve, and go into detail about how you think that should work, and even down to, if you've already got sales, obviously look at your current numbers, work out how you'd like to either maintain or increase those numbers. So that goes into that measurable side of things. So make sure you're measuring. Allows you to identify what you're going to measure, and what numbers are showing positive return on the marketing, what numbers, if they're dropping, are showing that the marketing efforts on achieving your goals. So make sure you've got those measures get aligned to those goals. One of the key parts of planning as well is identifying the resources that you have, and where the content can be generated from. So you may already have a team who are kind of generating content, whatever that may be. It might be written content, it might be videos they're creating, it might just be client communications, customer feedback. What content is already being generated in your business that you could use as part of your marketing strategy? And if you haven't got enough content, what content do you need to generate as part of your marketing strategy? So identify where that content is coming from is really important, and aligned with that is then who is responsible for generating that content, who's responsible for pulling that content together. Start assigning roles, and start figuring out where that content is coming from. Content is really important to most marketing efforts. It is, because without it, you just don't have that fresh ideas, fresh content that's being shared. So just make sure the content's a really key part of most marketing channels. It is, even down to PPC, even down to who's writing the ad copy, what the cost, the benefits of product or service. Content is a really key part of that. So make sure you be clear on your goals, identify the measurables, identify where the content's coming from, and identify who's responsible for delivering that content, and making sure it's ready to be used in your marketing activities. Step 2 is the set up your call to actions. So still in that planning phase before we kind of launch any major marketing activity, but make sure you've got your clear call to actions set up. So what we mean by that is what we do at Copper Bay Digital, or maybe what you could look at yourself, is identifying the different stages of the purchasing process, and make sure there's a call to action for each of those stages. So we like to use the AIDA model, which is attraction, interest, desire, and action. So we make sure we've got a call to action for each of those stages. So attraction is usually someone becoming aware of your product. So that may just be retargeted. They come to your site, you retarget them through ad platforms. Interest may be that they are starting to investigate the benefits of your product or service. So you try and capture that. For me, that's great time to capture their details. Maybe put some gated content up, put something, they provide their email address. You provide them some valuable information about that product or service or the problem that they're trying to solve. And then desire is okay. So they've moved on from that interest stage, and they feel like they do want a product like yours. So make sure you've got call to action there. Maybe that's a discovery call. Maybe that's a bit more information. Maybe a free trial or something like that. Just something to get they've got that desire. They can imagine their lives with your product or service. So make sure you've got ways to capture them at that stage. And then action, obviously, this is where most websites or most customers have their call to action, is just the action stage, which is kind of the purchase, the transaction. But maybe that's a little bit too, if you're skipping out those kind of first 3 points of the attraction, interest, and desire, then you may be missing out on conversions of those people that are a little bit earlier in their sales cycle. But if you catch them early enough, then by the time they do get to that kind of action phase, then you know that you're the main service provider or product in mind. So it's great to capture them early in the model. And then, so make sure you set up a call to action for each of those stages. Our third step is the set up automations to assist moving people through that IDA model, for moving them from attraction to interest to desire, and desire to action. Moving people through that model and automate that process. That automation can be a set of emails, it can be some SMS messages, it can be different types of content they receive. It could just ways of moving them through that process, what you expect them to want to see to move them to that next model. The reason we go down automations here is because it allows you to create a personalized journey. So everyone's going to be, all your customers or potential customers are going to be at different stages at different times. So identifying, automating that process, you're able to put the right trigger content that moves them through to that next stage at the right time for their own personal journey. So putting your automations against the IDA model, against those call to actions, is really important and really drive those consistent sales or consistent marketing activities. Next stage is actually to launch then your marketing campaigns. You know you've identified where the content's coming from. You identified the channels. You've identified your goals and your target market. You've got your call to actions for each of those stages already set up. So you know now, if you launch marketing activities, you're going to be driving people to a call to action. You're going to be driving people to taking action or taking the next step with you as a service provider or as your product. So this is the most exciting. This is where people normally start, but launching those channels, launching that marketing plan that you put in place, making you feel confident, then everyone you drive to the website has got a call to action, and you know you're going to maximize the investment, the return on investment for the marketing activities. Step 5 is measure and improve. So make sure you're actually measuring all of those stages we talked about in the IDA model earlier. So make sure that how many people are you retargeting each week or month? How many people are providing their email address? How many people are you capturing throughout all those different stages? Because by looking at it at a more granular level like that, rather than just saying how many sales or how many inquiries we had this month, by looking at it at the granular level, we know then which part of the process is working, which isn't, which needs to be tweaked, which needs to be improved. So make sure you have the measuring all of those call to actions, measure the people that are in your email list, measure, keeping track of all this data, because it'll inform whether the earlier activities are working. It will then allow you to continually tweak those processes. Measure the engagements of the automations, how many people are clicking on the emails, how many people are responding to text messages if you're sending them, how many people are kind of engaging in social media, whatever that may be. But make sure you're measuring all the automations. And like I said, tend to look at these weekly. Every business might be slightly different depending on the number of activity you get, but we always tend to look at this weekly and make sure we are tweaking our process and what content's working, what's not working, whenever we look at those numbers. Step number 6 in this process is review the plan every 3 to 6 months. So what you don't want to do is, step 1, you put all that time into where you're planning, you're investing, you're aligning, you're setting up your goals, you're aligning those to the business plan, but then your business plan changes, but you forget to adjust the marketing plan. You do. So every 3 to 6 months, you should always sit down with the business and work out what the goals are, what the aims are, which direction the business is going in. Is there a product or service that has changed? Is there something that has changed within the business that means your marketing plan has changed? So every 3 to 6 months, just reaffirm everything, reaffirm the type of content, where it's coming from, what the business goals are, which direction the business is going in. Every 3 to 6 months, make sure you're going through that process, and effectively then repeat that 6-stage process. Go through that whole process again, making sure that if anything does change, go through your call to actions, change them. If it does change, go through your channels, change what the purpose of the channels are. So just keep looking at information and monitoring and adjust. So that's our six-stage process. It really does work for us. It really works for our clients, and we do. Hopefully you've got a little bit of value from that, and there's some things you can put into your business and hopefully generate some real great sales in 2023.